In the bustling heart of New York City, the glass and steel skyscraper of Apex Innovations towered over the streets, a symbol of ambition and success. Inside, the atmosphere was tense as employees whispered about the latest board meeting. At the center of the storm was Sarah Mitchell, a dedicated project manager and single mother who had poured her heart and soul into her work. She had joined Apex 5 years ago, climbing the corporate ladder with determination and grit, all while raising her young daughter, Lily, on her own. Sarah had always been the kind of employee who went above and beyond. She was known for her innovative ideas and her ability to rally her team during challenging projects. But lately, the company had been struggling to keep up with the competition, and the pressure was mounting. The new CEO, Mark Reynolds, a ruthless businessman with a reputation for making tough decisions, had taken the helm just 6 months prior. His approach was simple: cut costs, streamline operations, and eliminate anyone who didn't fit his vision. On a chilly Wednesday morning, Sarah received an email that made her heart drop. It was an invitation to a meeting with Mark. She had heard the rumors swirling around the office. People were being let go left and right. As she walked to the conference room, her mind raced with thoughts of Lily. She had always promised her daughter that she would do everything in her power to provide for them, and the thought of losing her job was terrifying. When she entered the room, Mark was seated at the head of the table, flanked by the HR director and a couple of other executives. The atmosphere was cold and clinical. "Thank you for coming, Sarah," Mark said, his voice devoid of warmth. "I'll get straight to the point. We're making some changes to improve efficiency, and unfortunately, your position has been eliminated." The words hit Sarah like a punch to the gut. She felt the room spin as she struggled to process what was happening. "But I've been working on the new product launch," she protested, her voice trembling. "I've put in countless hours, and we're so close to a breakthrough." Mark's expression remained impassive. "I appreciate your hard work, but the decision is final. We need to make cuts, and your role is no longer necessary." With that, he dismissed her, leaving Sarah to gather her things in a daze. As she walked out of the building, tears streamed down her face. The weight of her responsibilities felt heavier than ever. That evening, Sarah sat on the couch in her small apartment, Lily curled up beside her, oblivious to the turmoil in her mother's heart. As she held her daughter close, Sarah vowed to find a way to make things right. She couldn't let this setback define her or their future. With determination, she began to brainstorm ideas for a new job, updating her resume and reaching out to her network. Meanwhile, across town, Mark Reynolds was celebrating his latest decision with a lavish dinner at a high-end restaurant. He reveled in the power he wielded, convinced that his ruthless approach would lead to greater profits. But as he toasted to his success, he received an unexpected phone call that would change everything. On the other end was Robert Mitchell, a billionaire entrepreneur and Sarah's estranged father. Robert had built his fortune in tech and had always been a formidable presence in the business world. He had distanced himself from Sarah after her mother's passing, believing that she needed to learn to stand on her own. But when he heard about the layoffs at Apex, he felt a surge of protectiveness for his daughter. "Mark, I just heard about your recent cuts," Robert said, his voice steady but laced with authority. "I want to discuss the future of Apex Innovations." Mark, taken aback, tried to maintain his composure. "I appreciate your interest, Robert, but we're on a solid path. I'm confident in my leadership." "Are you?" Robert replied, his tone shifting. "You just fired a talented employee who was crucial to your upcoming product launch. I think you're making a mistake." Mark bristled at the implication. "I make decisions based on data and performance, not personal connections." "Perhaps you should consider the bigger picture," Robert countered. "I'm willing to invest in Apex, but only if you're willing to step aside. I believe I can lead this company to new heights." The conversation escalated, and Mark found himself cornered. He had built his reputation on being unyielding, but Robert's offer was tempting. After a tense negotiation, they reached an agreement. Robert would buy a controlling stake in Apex Innovations, and Mark would step down as CEO. The next morning, Sarah was jolted awake by a flurry of notifications on her phone. News outlets were buzzing with the story of Robert Mitchell's acquisition of Apex. she felt a mix of disbelief and hope. Could her father really be the one to turn things around? She hadn't spoken to him in years, and the thought of reaching out felt daunting. But as she read the articles detailing the changes at Apex, a spark of determination ignited within her. She decided to take a leap of faith and contact him. With trembling hands, Sarah dialed her father's number, her heart racing as the phone rang. After what felt like an eternity, he picked up. "Sarah." His voice was a mixture of surprise and warmth. "I didn't expect to hear from you." "Dad, I saw the news about Apex," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. I was fired yesterday. I don't know what to do." There was a pause on the other end, and Sarah could almost hear the gears turning in his mind. "I'm sorry to hear that. You deserve better. I want to help you, but I need to know if you're willing to come back to the company." "Back to Apex," she echoed, disbelief flooding her voice. "After everything that happened?" "Listen, I know our relationship has been strained, but I believe in your talent. I want you to lead the new product launch. We need someone with your vision and dedication," he said, his tone firm yet encouraging. Sarah felt a rush of emotions, anger, sadness, but also hope. "I don't know if I can just jump back in after being let go like that." "Trust me, I'll make sure you have the support you need. This is a chance for you to shine, to show everyone what you're capable of," he urged. After a long conversation, Sarah agreed to meet with her father at the office. As she walked through the familiar halls of Apex, she felt a mix of nostalgia and anxiety. The atmosphere was different now, charged with a sense of possibility. Robert greeted her with a warm smile, and for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of connection. "Welcome back, Sarah," he said, gesturing for her to take a seat. "I want to hear your ideas for the product launch. We need to make a strong impression to regain our market position." As they discussed strategies, Sarah felt her confidence returning. She shared her vision for the product, her passion igniting as she spoke. Robert listened intently, nodding in agreement. "This is exactly what we need." "I'm glad you're here," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. Over the next few weeks, Sarah threw herself into her work, leading her team with renewed vigor. The atmosphere at Apex was electric, with employees feeling a sense of hope and purpose under Robert's leadership. Mark Reynolds had been ousted, and the company was undergoing a transformation that resonated with everyone. However, not everyone was pleased with the changes. A faction of the old guard, loyal to Mark, began to plot against Robert and Sarah. They whispered doubts and spread rumors, trying to undermine their efforts. Sarah felt the pressure mounting as she navigated the challenges of her new role, but she refused to back down. One evening, as she was leaving the office, she overheard a conversation between two employees. "They think they can just come in and take over," one said. "We need to show them that Apex was built on our hard work, not some billionaire's whims." Sarah's heart sank. She knew that if they didn't unite the team, their efforts could be in vain. The next day, she called for a company-wide meeting. Standing in front of her colleagues, she took a deep breath and spoke from the heart. "I know there are concerns about the changes happening at Apex," she began, her voice steady. "But I want to assure you that we're all in this together. We have a chance to redefine our future, to innovate and grow. I believe in this team and I believe in each of you." As she spoke, she could see the skepticism in some faces begin to fade. "Let's work together, share our ideas, and make Apex a place where everyone can thrive. I'm here to listen, and I want to hear your thoughts." The room was silent for a moment before a few hands went up. Employees began to share their ideas, and the atmosphere shifted. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her as the team started to engage, their passion reigniting. In the following weeks, the product launch began to take shape. Sarah and her team worked tirelessly, fueled by a shared vision and a newfound camaraderie. Robert provided the resources they needed, but it was Sarah's leadership that inspired everyone to push their limits. As the launch date approached, excitement buzzed through the office. Sarah felt a sense of pride in what they had accomplished together. But just as everything seemed to be falling into place, the old guard struck back. They leaked negative information to the press, attempting to tarnish Robert's reputation and undermine the upcoming launch. The media frenzy was intense, with headlines questioning the stability of Apex Innovations and the competence of its new leadership. Sarah watched in horror as the articles piled up, each one more damaging than the last. It felt like a storm was brewing, and she was at the center of it. Determined not to let the negativity derail their hard work, Sarah called an emergency meeting with her team. "We can't let this define us," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil outside. "We've worked too hard to let a few articles shake our resolve. We need to focus on what we can control, our product and our message." The team rallied around her, their spirits lifted by her determination. They brainstormed ways to counter the negative press, deciding to launch a proactive campaign that highlighted their innovative product and the positive changes happening at Apex. They created a series of videos showcasing the team's hard work, testimonials from employees, and sneak peeks of the product in action. As the launch date approached, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The pressure was mounting, but she was determined to prove that they could rise above the challenges. On the day of the launch, the atmosphere in the office was electric. Employees gathered in the conference room, their faces a mix of anticipation and nerves. Sarah stood at the front, her heart racing as she prepared to present. "Today is not just about our product, it's about all of us," she began, her voice strong. "We've faced challenges, but we've come together as a team. Let's show the world what Apex Innovations is capable of." As she unveiled the product, the room erupted in applause. The energy was palpable, and Sarah felt a surge of pride as she watched her colleagues celebrate their hard work. The product was met with enthusiasm from the audience, and the positive feedback began to pour in. But just as they were basking in the success, the old guard made one final attempt to sabotage their efforts. They organized a protest outside the building, claiming that Robert's leadership was detrimental to the company's culture. Sarah watched from the window, her heart sinking as she saw the signs and heard the chants. "Stay focused," she reminded her team. "We can't let this distract us. We need to keep pushing forward." With the media still buzzing about the protest, Sarah and her team decided to hold a press conference to address the concerns head-on. They invited reporters to hear directly from the employees about the positive changes at Apex and the vision for the future. On the day of the press conference, Sarah stood at the podium, flanked by her colleagues. "We're here to share our story," she began, her voice steady. "Apex Innovations is not just a company, it's a community. We're committed to fostering a culture of collaboration and innovation, and we believe that our best days are ahead of us." As she spoke, she could see the reporters leaning in, captivated by the passion and authenticity of the team. They shared their experiences, their hopes for the future, and their commitment to making Apex a leader in the industry. The tide began to turn as the media coverage shifted from negative to positive, highlighting the resilience and determination of the team. In the weeks that followed, the product launch exceeded all expectations. Sales soared, and the company began to regain its footing in the market. Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment, not just for the success of the product, but for the unity and strength of her team. As the dust settled, Sarah found herself reflecting on the journey. She had faced challenges that had tested her resolve, but she had emerged stronger and more confident. Her relationship with her father had also begun to heal, as they worked together to shape the future of Apex. One evening, as they sat in Robert's office discussing the next steps for the company, he looked at her with pride. "You've done an incredible job, Sarah. I knew you had it in you." "Thank you, Dad," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without the support of the team. We really came together." Robert nodded, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I've realized that family is important, and I want to be a part of your life again. Let's not let the past define our future." Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she felt the weight of their estrangement begin to lift. "I'd like that," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. As they continued to work together, Sarah found herself not only thriving in her career, but also rebuilding her relationship with her father. They began to share more moments together, both in and out of the office, and for the first time in years, Sarah felt a sense of belonging. Months later, as she stood on stage at an industry conference, accepting an award for the product's success, Sarah looked out at the audience and felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She had come so far from the day she was fired, and the journey had transformed her in ways she never imagined. The applause echoed in her ears, but it was the faces of her team, her father, and her daughter in the crowd that filled her heart with joy. After the ceremony, Sarah was approached by several industry leaders who praised her vision and leadership. She felt a sense of pride not just for herself, but for everyone who had stood by her during the tumultuous times. As she mingled with the crowd, she spotted Lily, who had been brought to the event by Robert. The little girl beamed with pride, her eyes sparkling as she waved at her mother. "Mommy, you were amazing," Lily exclaimed, running into Sarah's arms. "Thank you, sweetheart. I couldn't have done it without you cheering me on," Sarah replied, hugging her tightly. Robert joined them, placing a hand on Sarah's shoulder. "You've made us all proud, Sarah. This is just the beginning." As they left the conference, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was determined to continue leading Apex Innovations into a bright future, one that would not only benefit the company but also create a positive impact on the community. She envisioned initiatives that would support single parents like herself, mentorship programs for young women in tech, and partnerships with local schools to inspire the next generation of innovators. Back at the office, Sarah gathered her team to share her vision. "I want us to be more than just a successful company. I want Apex to be a force for good in our community," she declared. "Let's brainstorm ways we can give back and support those who need it most." The team responded enthusiastically, and together they developed a plan for a community outreach program that would provide resources and support for single parents, as well as scholarships for students pursuing careers in technology. Sarah felt a sense of fulfillment as they worked on this initiative, knowing that they were making a difference beyond the walls of their office. As the months passed, Apex Innovations flourished, and Sarah's leadership style became a model for others in the industry. She was invited to speak at conferences, sharing her story of resilience and the importance of empathy in leadership. Each time she spoke, she emphasized the value of teamwork and the strength that comes from embracing diversity and inclusion. One day, as she was preparing for another speaking engagement, Sarah received a call from a local news station. They wanted to feature her story as part of a series on inspiring leaders in the community. Excited yet nervous, she agreed, knowing that this was another opportunity to share her journey and inspire others. The day of the interview arrived, and Sarah sat in front of the camera, her heart racing. The host asked her about her experience at Apex and the challenges she had faced. As she spoke, she felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. "I believe that every setback is an opportunity for growth," she said passionately. "It's about how we respond to those challenges that defines us." The interview aired a few days later, and the response was overwhelming. People reached out to her, sharing their own stories of struggle and resilience. Sarah felt a deep connection with those who had been inspired by her journey, and she knew that she wanted to continue using her platform to uplift others. As the year came to a close, Sarah reflected on how far she had come. She had not only rebuilt her career but had also mended her relationship with her father and created a supportive environment for her team. The bond with Lily had grown stronger, and they spent more quality time together, exploring the city and enjoying each other's company. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, Lily turned to her mother and said, "Mommy, I want to be just like you when I grow up." Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "You can be anything you want to be, sweetheart. Just remember to always believe in yourself and never give up." With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah looked forward to the future. She knew that challenges would continue to arise, but she felt equipped to face them head-on. With her team by her side, her father's support, and the love of her daughter, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. As the new year dawned, Sarah stood at the helm of Apex Innovations, ready to lead with compassion and vision. She had transformed not only her own life but the lives of those around her, proving that with determination, resilience, and a little bit of love, anything was possible. The journey was far from over, but she was excited to see where it would take her next. As the sun rose on a new day, Sarah felt a renewed sense of energy coursing through her veins. The office buzzed with anticipation as the team prepared for the launch of their community outreach program. They had worked tirelessly to develop initiatives that would not only support single parents but also inspire young minds to pursue careers in technology. Sarah had never felt more connected to her purpose, and she was eager to see the impact they could make. The day of the program launch arrived, and the conference room was filled with employees, community leaders, and local media. Sarah stood at the front, her heart racing with excitement. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady. "Today marks a significant step for Apex Innovations as we commit to giving back to our community. We believe that by supporting those in need, we can create a brighter future for everyone." As she unveiled the details of the outreach program, the room erupted in applause. The initiative included mentorship opportunities, scholarships for students, and resources for single parents to help them balance work and family life. Sarah felt a wave of pride wash over her as she watched her colleagues rally around the cause, their enthusiasm infectious. In the following weeks, the program gained momentum. Sarah and her team visited local schools, sharing their stories and encouraging students to explore careers in technology. They organized workshops for single parents, providing them with tools and resources to help them succeed both at home and in their careers. The response from the community was overwhelmingly positive, and Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment knowing they were making a difference. However, as the program flourished, the old guard at Apex began to stir again. A few disgruntled employees, still loyal to Mark Reynolds, started to spread rumors about the outreach initiative, claiming it was a distraction from the company's core mission. Sarah was aware of the whispers but refused to let them deter her. She knew that the outreach program was not just a side project, it was integral to the company's identity and future. Determined to address the concerns head-on, Sarah called for another company-wide meeting. "I understand that there are differing opinions about our outreach program," she began, her voice calm yet firm. "But I want to remind everyone that our success is not solely measured by profits. It's about the impact we have on our community and the legacy we leave behind." As she spoke, she could see the skepticism in some faces begin to fade. "We have a unique opportunity to be leaders in our industry, not just in innovation but in social responsibility. Let's work together to create a culture that values both our business goals and our commitment to making a difference." The room fell silent, and then one by one, employees began to voice their support for the program. They shared their own experiences and the importance of giving back, and Sarah felt a surge of hope as the team united around a common purpose. The old guard's influence began to wane, and the atmosphere shifted toward collaboration and positivity. As the outreach program continued to grow, Sarah found herself invited to speak at various conferences and events, sharing her journey and the importance of social responsibility in business. Each time she took the stage, she felt a sense of empowerment, knowing that her story resonated with others who faced similar challenges. One evening, after a particularly inspiring event, Sarah received a message from a young woman named Emily. Emily had been in the audience and was deeply moved by Sarah's story. She reached out to express her gratitude and share her own struggles as a single mother trying to break into the tech industry. Sarah felt a connection to Emily's story and decided to invite her to meet for coffee. When they met, Emily shared her dreams of becoming a software engineer but expressed doubts about her ability to succeed. "I've faced so many obstacles, and sometimes I feel like giving up," she admitted, her voice tinged with vulnerability. Sarah listened intently, recalling her own journey and the challenges she had overcome. "I understand how you feel," she said gently, "but I want you to know that you're not alone. I faced my own struggles, but I found strength in my determination and the support of others. You have the potential to achieve your dreams, and I believe in you." Inspired by their conversation, Sarah offered to mentor Emily, providing her with guidance and resources to help her navigate the tech industry. Over the next few months, they met regularly, and Sarah watched as Emily's confidence grew. She began to excel in her studies and even landed an internship at a local tech company. As Emily's success unfolded, Sarah felt a sense of pride in their partnership. She knew that by empowering others, she was not only helping them but also creating a ripple effect that would benefit the entire community. The outreach program continued to thrive, and Sarah's commitment to social responsibility became a cornerstone of Apex Innovations' identity. However, just as things seemed to be going well, a new challenge emerged. A major competitor in the tech industry announced a groundbreaking product that threatened to overshadow Apex's recent launch. The media buzzed with excitement, and analysts speculated that this new product could potentially disrupt the market. Sarah felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach as she watched the headlines flood in, each one more sensational than the last. Determined not to let fear dictate their response, Sarah called an emergency meeting with her team. "We can't let this news derail our momentum," she said, her voice steady. "We need to focus on what makes us unique and how we can leverage our strengths to stand out in this competitive landscape." The team rallied around her, brainstorming ideas to enhance their product and differentiate it from the competition. They discussed potential features, marketing strategies, and ways to engage their audience. Sarah encouraged everyone to think outside the box, reminding them that innovation often comes from collaboration and diverse perspectives. As they worked late into the night, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but she was confident in her team's ability to rise to the occasion. They developed a plan to launch a targeted marketing campaign that highlighted the unique aspects of their product, emphasizing its benefits and the positive impact it could have on users' lives. In the weeks that followed, the team executed their plan with precision. They created engaging content that showcased the product's features, shared testimonials from satisfied customers, and highlighted the community outreach initiatives that set Apex apart. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and Sarah felt a surge of pride as she watched their efforts pay off. However, the competitor's product continued to dominate the headlines, and Sarah knew they needed to do something bold to capture attention. Inspired by the success of their outreach program, she proposed a partnership with a well-known charity that aligned with their values. "Let's create a campaign that not only promotes our product but also gives back to the community," she suggested. "We can donate a portion of our sales to support education for underprivileged children." The team embraced the idea, and together they crafted a campaign that resonated with their audience. They launched a social media initiative that encouraged customers to share their stories of how education had impacted their lives, using a dedicated hashtag. The campaign quickly gained traction, and soon, people from all walks of life were sharing their experiences, creating a powerful sense of community around the brand. As the campaign unfolded, Sarah received a call from a prominent media outlet requesting an interview. They wanted to feature Apex Innovations and the charitable initiative in a segment about companies making a difference. Sarah felt a mix of excitement and nerves as she prepared for the interview, knowing that this was an opportunity to showcase their commitment to social responsibility. On the day of the interview, Sarah sat in front of the camera, her heart racing. The host asked her about the inspiration behind the campaign and the impact it was having on the community. "At Apex, we believe that success is not just about profits, it's about making a positive impact," she said passionately. "We're committed to supporting education and empowering the next generation to pursue their dreams." The interview aired, and the response was overwhelming. Viewers were inspired by Sarah's story and the company's mission, leading to a surge in sales and interest in their product. The campaign not only helped boost their visibility, but also solidified Apex Innovations' reputation as a socially responsible leader in the tech industry. As the months passed, Sarah continued to mentor Emily, who was thriving in her internship and gaining valuable experience. Emily's confidence blossomed, and she began to envision a future where she could make her mark in the tech world. Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment knowing that she was helping to pave the way for others, just as she had once hoped for herself. However, the old guard at Apex was not finished yet. A few former employees, still loyal to Mark, began to spread rumors about the company's financial stability, claiming that the outreach initiatives were draining resources. Sarah was aware of the whispers but refused to let them deter her. She knew that the outreach program was not just a side project, it was integral to the company's identity and future. Determined to address the concerns head-on, Sarah called for another company-wide meeting. I understand that there are differing opinions about our outreach program, she began, her voice calm yet firm. But I want to remind everyone that our success is not solely measured by profits. It's about the impact we have on our community and the legacy we leave behind. As she spoke, she could see the skepticism in some faces begin to fade. We have a unique opportunity to be leaders in our industry, not just in innovation but in social responsibility. Let's work together to create a culture that values both our business goals and our commitment to making a difference. The room fell silent, and then one by one, employees began to voice their support for the program. They shared their own experiences and the importance of giving back, and Sarah felt a surge of hope as the team united around a common purpose. The old guard,